Let's talk about Bitcoin. For a long time, it was this thing only tech geeks and people on internet forums really cared about, right? Well, that picture has totally flipped. What used to be a niche token is now on the radar of governments, huge corporations, and even the big players on Wall Street. So that's the big question, isn't it? How on earth did a bit of code, this internet token, go from basically zero to being adopted by countries and the giants of finance? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down that journey step by step. All right, we're going to tackle this in 3 parts. First, we'll look at the grassroots adoption. Then we'll dive into how Wall Street got involved. And to wrap it up, we'll look at what this could all mean for the future of money. Okay, so let's start from the ground up. This first big wave of adoption, it wasn't driven by some huge bank or corporation. Nope, it was regular people and one really forward-thinking country who started using Bitcoin to solve actual everyday problems. We're talking everything from buying a cup of coffee to, protecting their entire life savings. And this was a huge moment. Back in 2021, El Salvador did something pretty wild. They made Bitcoin legal tender, an official currency. All of a sudden, you could use it for, everything. Paying your taxes, buying food, grabbing that morning coffee. It was the first real-world test to see if Bitcoin could actually work on a national scale. But you've got to wonder, why would a whole country do that? What's the appeal? Well, it really comes down to this. Your national currency, the government can just print more of it, which can lead to inflation. But Bitcoin? It's got a hard cap. Only 21 million will ever be created, period. That scarcity gives it a kind of stability. And for people sending money home from other countries, it's an absolute game changer. It's way faster and cheaper than going through the old school banks. And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. It's solving real, life-altering problems for people. I mean, think about it. If you're in Argentina, where inflation is just out of control, you're using Bitcoin to protect your savings from disappearing. In places like Venezuela or Nigeria, it's become a reliable way to store value when your own currency is collapsing. And yeah, for workers all over the world, it means more of their money actually makes it back to their families. Now that it's built into apps like Cash App and PayPal, it's literally at people's fingertips. All right, so that's the people's movement. But a wave that big creates ripples. And eventually, the biggest players on the block, they had to take notice. So let's talk about phase 2, the arrival of Wall Street and big corporate money. Okay, get this number in your head. Over 200,000. That's how many Bitcoins are held by one single company, MicroStrategy. And this isn't them just playing the market. It's a core belief. They've decided that holding Bitcoin in their company treasury is a smarter long-term move than holding cash that's just losing its value year after year. And it's not just them. You've got huge names like Tesla putting Bitcoin on their balance sheets too. But then you have companies like Block, you might know them as Square, who are taking it to the next level. They're not just holding it, they're actually building new financial tools with it. It proves this isn't just about investing, it's about innovating. But if you want to pinpoint the moment Wall Street really jumped in, it was 2024. After years and years of rejections, US regulators finally gave the green light to Bitcoin ETFs. And that changed everything. It was like building a superhighway connecting traditional money to Bitcoin. All of a sudden, anyone with a regular investment account could buy in, and boom, the floodgates opened. We're talking billions of dollars pouring in, giving Bitcoin a whole new level of legitimacy. So we've got regular people, we've got a whole country, and now we've got Wall Street. They're all in. The big question is, what happens next? Where is all this heading? Let's explore what the future could look like. And look, this isn't some crazy sci-fi movie. This is a real potential path forward, and we're already seeing the first steps. I mean, if one country can make it legal tender, why couldn't others start holding it in their national reserves? If companies are building services on it, what's stopping them from paying their international teams in Bitcoin? You follow that logic, and you could end up in a world where Bitcoin is the go-to currency for settling massive global trades. All of this really boils down to one key idea, this concept of a digital safe haven. And what's a safe haven? It's just something you trust to hold its value when the rest of the economy gets shaky. For forever, that safe haven has been gold, right? It's physical. You could hold it. People have trusted it for thousands of years. But now, Bitcoin is really starting to look like the modern version of that. It's digital, it's scarce, and its real superpower. When banks have a meltdown or a currency crashes, the Bitcoin network, it doesn't even notice. It just keeps on ticking 24/7, no matter what. So if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's this.
Bitcoin isn't a niche hobby anymore. It's going global. The adoption is picking up speed and it's happening everywhere at once, with regular folks, with big companies, and even with governments.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. When you connect all the dots we've talked about, from someone buying coffee in El Salvador to a trader on Wall Street, you just have to wonder, are we quietly watching the world adopt a totally new standard for money?